Hello, and welcome to ADU Adventures, Building in Your Backyard. I'm James, your host, and today we're talking about one of the biggest questions homeowners ask when thinking about building an ADU. How do I actually pay for it? Now, before we get into the financing options, I want to set your expectations. I'm no lender, I'm no financier or money. I'm just your friendly neighborhood ADU guy. I'm not here to tell you what an ADU costs because the reality is costs vary widely based on your property, location, and the choices you make. My role here isn't to tell you the best financial decision for your situation because honestly, that depends a lot on your own personal factors. But what I can do is walk you through the most common ways homeowners finance ADUs, explain them in plain English, and share a real story of how homeowners like yourself are successfully financing their projects. So today we're going to cover a few things: the different financing options available to ADU projects, how to assess your budget realistically before getting started, what homeowners need to consider before taking out a loan or using home equity, and I'll share a story about successful ADU financing and what that looks like. So if you've ever wondered how do people actually afford to build an ADU and how do they pay for it, stick around because we're about to break it all down. Before we start talking about finance, though, let's talk about the real cost of an ADU. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to say how much an ADU costs, but I can provide a little insight as to how you can go about it. Now, one of the biggest mistakes homeowners make is assuming they can get a quick estimate and move forward based on that. But the reality is, every property is different, and the cost of an ADU isn't just about the structure itself. It's about your property, the city regulations, and the challenges unique to building on your property. Here are a few things that directly impact the cost of an ADU. The type of ADU can impact your costs: detached, attached, garage conversion, basement ADU, or JADU. Each has different structural and permitting requirements that can affect the cost. You should also consider that whenever you're building a structure and have to tap into your main home, just like with an addition, you may discover things in your house that need to be repaired. So attaching an ADU or converting a garage or a basement or building a JADU inside your home can open up a whole can of worms regarding what costs could creep up that you didn't expect in the beginning of your project. There's also site conditions, things like soil quality, grading, access to utilities, and even tree removal can significantly impact your construction budget. And of course, there's local permitting and impact fees. Those vary depending on your city, jurisdiction, neighborhood, and they can be a major factor in your project's overall cost if you happen to be located in a very specific area or discover something that you didn't know you'd have to pay for later on. And then the simple things like the size of your ADU, the materials and the finishes, a basic ADU versus a high-end ADU versus a custom ADU versus a build-ready or pre-approved ADU. And there's something that doesn't get talked about enough: unexpected costs. I talked a little bit about that with JADUs and garage conversions, but the reality is every construction project, whether it's an ADU or a remodel, comes with some surprises. A good rule of thumb is to set aside a contingency budget, usually around 10% of the total project cost, to cover anything unexpected. What's great is that professional companies and ADU specialists generally try to bake in this contingency so that you don't have to over budget your project. The key takeaway here: you need a clear budget before you start looking at financing. If you go into the process with only a rough estimate, you might find yourself scrambling later when costs start to add up, or having difficulty actually creating a relationship. Thinking about building an ADU? Well, maybe try starting here. When I first explored building an ADU, I had lots of questions. Can I even build one? What am I going to do about permits? And who can I trust to get it done? That's where Acton ADU made all the difference. For decades, we've been helping homeowners design and build projects and high-quality ADUs long before they were a trend. We know the process, from smart design to navigating permits without a hassle. More than builders, we help families plan for the future, and our 5-star reviews speak for themselves. If you're serious about an ADU, start with the right team. Get a free consultation from Acton ADU. We'll show you what's possible. Just visit actonadu.com/podcast or call 408-369-1103 and let us know how you heard about us. You won't regret it. With a lender. All right, but let's say you've done your research. You have a good sense of what your ADU will cost. Now, how do you actually pay for it? There are a few ways homeowners finance their ADUs, and each one comes with pros and cons. Let's go through them one by one so you can understand how they work on a very basic level. Home equity line of credit, or a HELOC. A HELOC is one of the most common, if not the most common ways homeowners finance ADUs in California, because it lets you borrow against the equity you've already built up in your own home. Think of it a little bit like a credit card that's tied to your house. You're approved for a set amount, but you only borrow what you actually need. For an ADU, this is great because construction costs happen in phases, and you can pull money as you go rather than taking out a lump sum all at once. Pros: potentially lower interest rates than personal loan, only pay interest on what you use, and the flexibility to borrow as needed. Cons: your home is used as collateral, and there could be variable interest rates. Your payments can change over time. A home equity loan is similar to a HELOC, but instead of a flexible credit line, you get a lump sum all at once. This is a better option if you already know exactly how much the ADU will cost, because you get a lump sum upfront and can make fixed monthly payments. Pros: fixed interest rates. Your payment won't change. You also have predictable monthly payments. Cons: it's less flexible. You can't borrow more later if the costs increase, and it can require significant home equity. There's also cash out refinancing. Cash out refinance: you replace your current mortgage with a new, larger mortgage, and the difference comes to you in cash to fund your ADU. This can be a good option if interest rates are low or if you're planning to stay in your home for a long time. Pros include it can provide a large amount for the project, may lower your mortgage rate if rates have dropped, and cons: it does reset your mortgage term. You're starting over in effect, and closing costs can be significant. There's a story about a family that we worked with. I'll say that they're the Lopez family, and they had been thinking about an ADU for years. They wanted a long-term rental unit to create passive income, but weren't sure how to pay for it. At first, they considered a cash-out refinance, but after speaking with a financial advisor and an ADU specialist, they realized a HELOC was probably the better option for them. Why? Their Why, you may ask? Well, their mortgage interest rate was already super low, and refinancing would have increased their overall costs. Instead, the HELOC allowed them to borrow only what they needed, as they needed it, which meant they weren't paying interest on unused funds. Fast forward 5 years, and here's the kicker. The rental income from the ADU completely paid off that loan. Now they own a fully paid off ADU that generates passive income every month. And there you have it. If today's episode got you thinking about financing your ADU, Acton ADU is here to help. We've been serving homeowners for over 35 years and have several financing partners. We understand that clear financial plans are just as important as a great design. If you want to explore your financing options, do visit actonadu.com/podcast or give us a call for a free consultation. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Next time, we'll be talking about how to pick the right builder and what to look for in a partner. Thanks for listening, and good luck on your ADU journey.